log in to KofiPiesieTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Piesie Research Team, From Spears to Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Piesie Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Piesie Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Piesie, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Shun Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Piesie. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPiesieTV.com.
Peace, and Black African power. I'm gonna let Dark out fix the light in a minute, but welcome back to Kofi Piesie Research Team TV with Kofi Piesie Research Team. First, I want to say ETM Hotel, Dual, Aku, Dual Nature, Fatmu Alafie, Fatmu Riri, Fatmu Iwa, Pele, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Lakba, Majuba Iba E Lakba. I want to give honor and praises to the ancestors, because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also want to extend honor and praises to the true and living elders out there, according to an African perspective and from an African world view. I got my brother Chavis and brother Sutek on the panel. Peace to everybody that's in the chat. Please like and share the show. Please thumb up the show. Please share the show. We're going to be sharing a lot of information today, so please like the show, and please share the show, because there's some information in here I think everybody needs to know. But I'll pass the mic to my brothers, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah, Shay Lafayette, peace to the family. We appreciate y'all for coming through. We black at you again. As my brothers say, man, tell a friend. We about to be going in, so please make sure you like the show as you come in. Give us that thumbs up. Help us get in these YouTube algorithms. Also, make sure you share the show. Try to share the show, man, in at least 5 to 10 groups. If you can do that for us, you can help us greatly, and we will greatly appreciate it. You will help us spread the word. Also, if you know people personally that might enjoy this information, make sure you inbox them, hit them up with the link, man. Help us get it in, man. But again, man, we appreciate y'all for coming through, and please like the show as you're coming in, and please share the show.
Peace to the panel, peace to the chat. Chavis, we in for an intriguing discussion, and I'm just gonna sit back and soak some game.
All right. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? I just had to hook my mic up, man.
I hear you.
Yep, we good.
All right. Like I say, y'all, please like and share the show. I'm finna share my screen. For most of the time, I'll be sharing and stopping my screen, But let me share my screen real quick. Hold on. I want to talk about this. I didn't know it was going to be a little controversy behind the thumbnail, too. So I'm going to explain something first before we jump into it. Let me share my screen. All right. Share my screen. Let me go over here. Okay. Let me enlarge that. Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Now I'm going to talk about this cover today. The name of the show is W.E.B, we packed our bags, and I forgot to put the other one because I had to do some editing on it. But we packed our bags and moved out of the conscious community to the new independent African community. Now, we had a discussion about 2 weeks ago where we talked about we are not a part of the conscious community. We all went back and forth because some of the brothers had different views than we had for we are a part of the conscious community. Some of us said we're not a part of the conscious community. And then Brother Sar, Imhotep, he came onto the panel and he shared some information with everybody that that was on the show. And so we talked about the first conscious community. Well, I was just calling it the first conscious community, the second conscious community, and etc. So this thumbnail, I just put some people in here. I could have put some more people in here, but I put some people in here. So I put some people from the American Negro Academy. I put some people in here from the Independent African Academy. Now we're starting the new Independent African Academy. I also put some people in here that I deem that stands up to the ideology that W.E. Du Bois had. W.E. Du Bois talked about the Talented 10. So, and I put something on my Facebook page yesterday. I got some response, but I didn't get any response far as I was asking who would be the Talented 10 for 2021 for those who may know about the Talented 10, the essay that was written by W.E.B. Du Bois on the ideology that Morehouse College ended adopting this ideology, the Talented 10, right? So with that, I put some individuals up here and I left some people out and I didn't have any women on here. And I was my sister pieced to Dr. Oyama. She said she's kind of jumped the gun. And then I talked to Brother Unc today, and he was talking about the collage or whatever the case was, and it doesn't have any women on here. And I didn't put the women on here. And I put these individuals who I thought would probably be a part of that ideology, the Talented 10. And we're going to get into what the Talented 10 is and what that W.E.B. Du Bois ideology was. Like I said, it was an essay, but it was his ideology of what he thought in order to further the Black race. So I put these individuals in here. Like I said, you got people from the American Negro Society. Those are the individuals all in the black and white pictures. And we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about W.E. Du Bois. We're going to talk about Alex Cromwell, George Washington Williams, W.E.D. Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, Schomburg. We're going to talk about John Henry Clark. We're going to talk about Ahati Toure, a brother that Asar turned us on to. And then I got Brother Ben on here, who I think is, I'll get into that a little bit later, but I got Brother Ben, I got Wu Jiao, I got Asar, I got I got Brother Baba Imhotep on there, Ahati Toure on there, and then I got the Kofi Piesie Research Team on there, and I got us on there. And those individuals, I'm not saying that those individuals mesh or mash with our ancestors, or saying that we above our ancestors or we succeeded our ancestors or whatever the case. I'm putting what in our time of 2021, in the 21st century. I'm talking about the 21st century, not the 20th century, but the 21st century, the Talented 10. And I put us on there because we're talking about what we're creating, the new independent African Academy community. So we're packing our bags. If they say we're part of that conscious/social media community, we're packing our bags. We're creating our own community, and we're leaving. Because even with what Alex Cromwell said, he said civilization does not exist if it does not produce. Again, Alex Cromwell, who is the founder of the American Negro Society. At one point, I think it was called the African Academy, but we'll talk about why he changed the name to the American Negro Academy a little bit later. But Alex Crummell said a civilization does not exist without producing anything. So he's talking about producers. So we're going to talk about that too, because they also had a mandate. They had an ideology, and then we have a mandate for the new Independent African Academy community. So if you want to be a part of this new Independent African Academy community, we have some mandates that you have to meet, some criteria that you have to meet, and there were and some things that we will absolutely not tolerate over here, because we're trying to raise the standard back up until in the 20th century, the late 19th, 20th century, when we talk about these individuals and we talk about these societies that they have created, these societies of excellence. So again, I just want to talk real quick about this collage that I made. Some other people I could have put on there, and hopefully either next week or week after next, I just bought a book by this sister Evelyn Brooks, and I can't remember her last name, Evelyn Brooks something. It's a long name. And she wrote a book that I can't remember the name, but I just purchased the Kindle book, and it was a high Kindle book. Maybe because it was over 300 and some page book. So it was a $20 Kindle book. So I purchased the book so I can start reading the book, so I can start putting it together, because I don't want the sisters to be slighted like this sister were. So she wrote in her book on chapter 2, she wrote it about the talented 10 for the women. And she talked about the role of the people during the 20th century in the Black Baptist Church. So she's bringing out those women, powerful women during that century that was a part of the Black Baptist Church, and who were the talented 10. So I'm going to talk about the women in our century as the talented 10, when we understand this ideology that I'm talking about, that W.E.B. Du Bois created the talented 10, because we're thinking it's just 10 individuals. No, it was an ideology that he put out there. And like I said, Morehouse University adopted that ideology. But once you see that ideology with the American Negro Academy, which W.E. Du Bois was also a part of, the talented 10, a part of that, those mandates that he's had. And then when we go into the Independent African Academy, Academy, where we Brother Ahati Toure came up with, and then he looked at the likes of John Henry Clark, who came after, who was also a part of the Independent African community, but also the highly intellectuals of those who was in the university, which we'll get into, was also a part of it. We'll talk about their mandates and what they were about, and what this new Independent African Academy and community, what it will be about, and what its mandates about. And we're going to talk about what we're talking about, the first conscious community with these individuals, and then where we fell apart because they set a high standard. Now, the second conscious community does not have this high standard of intellectual and producing. So we're going to get into that. We're definitely going to get into that with this first conscious community, go in a little bit more details about these individuals and about these societies, that they're the highly intellectual societies that they're committed in, and these ideologies that set forth, and where did we go wrong at? And then now we're trying to bring that standard back with the new. That's why I have the hyphens up under the new, because there was an Independent African Academy. Now we're reestablishing that as the new Independent African Academy community. So this is the new community that we have. So what do you say? Who's moving trucks? This is soon. Son of, I ain't gonna say that. Make they move out the community. Yeah, we moving, brother. But I just wanted to clear up this, man, because it was just some confusion behind it. And again, it's no slight to the women. We have women that I don't even consider a part of the so-called conscious / social media community, and I believe that they are part, and I know they are, because they are have those high standards that these individuals and their their societies had coming up when we talk about the first conscious community, their characteristics, their mandates and their codes and conducts, and etc. So I will be doing a show on the Talented 10 of our century of the women once I get through reading a few chapters in this book, who this woman also had a problem with W.E.B. Du Bois at one particular time, because just like here, there's no women in this picture, but there were women a part of the Talented 10 ideology. But I just wanted to set that forward before we get into it, because like I said, it was a little controversial or some misunderstanding about what this collage I made. And it was a few people I left out that I didn't put on, that I should have put on, but you know, we may talk about that. So let's get into it, man. First, let me see. I'm gonna read. I talked about this individual right here is Ahati N.N. Toure, and let me go to the slide real quick. Well, actually, this is him right here. So I'm dedicating the show. Sean was like, "Who is this guy?" Blase, blase. He wrote a book, but I'm gonna read some of his credentials. And like I said, he was like the one who popularized and got the Independent African Academy ideology, as I would say. But I'm gonna read some of his criteria. Let me go over here to my computer, over here to this, and I ain't got it on there. So I'm just gonna read a few things about him. He was a PhD. He had a PhD in American History, 2007, University of Nebraska Lincoln. He has an MA in Africana Studies in 1988, the University of Albany State University of New York. He has a PA Public Communication in 1983 at St. Rose, Albany, New York. Professional experience, December 2010 to present. He was the Director of Africana Studies Programs, Delaware State University of Dover, Delaware. August 2010 to present, Associate Professional at the Africanic History and Africanic Study Department of History, Political Science, Philosophy of Delaware State University. August 2007 to August 2010, Assistant Professor at the Africanic History of Black Studies Department of History, Political Science, Philosophy, Delaware State University, Dover, Delaware. December 2002 to August of 2007, he was an Assistant Director, African American Studies Programs, University of Houston, Texas. So he was also a professor of Brother Asar M. Hotep. Asar M. Hotep went to the University of Houston in Texas. So he shared some of this information for as his publication wise. So I just wanted to give some credentials for people that might not know who he is, because I'm dedicating the show to this brother, because we can't dedicate the show to this brother and say we are as the new Independent African Academy. I can't not dedicate it to him, because he started the Independent African Academy. We're just taking it and creating our own, the new Independent African Academy. So here he has a publication that Brother Sar read to us the other day, where the mandates, which we're going to talk about those mandates as well later on. He wrote a book called John Henry Clark and the Power of Africanic History, or Africology, Quest of Decolonization and Sovereignty. And on page, we're going to be reading from page chapter 40, chapter 45 and so forth, when we talk about the mandates of the Independent African Academy. So shout out Majuba Iba, well, peace to this brother. Peace to Brother Ahati. All right. Like I said, we're going to be going over a few things. So first we're going to talk about, and like I said, I'm setting the stage for something. So we're going to be talking about these highly intellectual individuals that we say was the first conscious community, the wave of the first conscious community. And then the standards and the mandates of these institutions that they had, or societies that they had, was a high standard. We do not have that high standard anymore when we talk about the second conscious community. So here is W.E.B. Du Bois. He says the Negro race, like all races, is going to be saved by its exceptional men. The problem of education then amongst Negroes must first of all deal with the talented 10. It is the problem of developing the best of this race that they may guide a mass away from the contamination of death of the worst. So this was by W.E.B. Du Bois, and I wanted to start off with W.E.B. Du Bois because we're going to be talking about the talented 10, because I'm talking about not only the essay, I'm talking about this was an ideology that he had, that he believed. So let me go to what the talented 10 is. Hold on one second. Let me do this. And we're gonna get to George, what's the name, in a minute. But let's go to the talented 10. All right. Let me know when my screen's sharing, y'all.
Yeah, you already sharing.
All right, cool. So let's talk about the talented 10. It says the talented 10 is a term that is designated. Let me put my glasses on, y'all, so I can see. I'm blind as a bat. Hold on. All right. I'm still blind as that. All right. No, I'm going to take them off. It says the talented 10 is designated. I'm going to have to pull this a little bit further to me, too. The talented 10 is a term of leadership class of African descendants Americans in the early 20th century. So I'm going to say that again. The talented 10 is a term that is designates a leadership class of African descended Africans in the early 20th century. And I'm saying this. I don't know how my other brothers feel or anybody else feel, but I'm saying that we don't have a lot of leaders in what we call the so-called conscious community. And I'm gonna go a little bit further. I'm not gonna even go a little further. Once we get into more with the talented 10, we get into the American Negro Academy, we get into the Independent American Academy, we look at some of these individuals, you will see why I said we have no leaders. But again, the talented 10 is a term designated a leadership class of African Americans, African descent Americans in the early 20th century. That's why I posed the question yesterday. In the 21st century, who will we consider the talented 10? We're talking about leaders, but not only leaders, what these leaders actually did, they accomplished, and their goals were. So, because in some of what we call the so-called conscious community, we don't have any leaders. They're leading themselves. They're not trying to lead a group of people or trying to help a group of people. They're trying to help in line their pockets with cash. You see, and the standard of pseudoism has become the popularity. You don't have to read anymore. You don't have to publish books. You don't have to write journals. You don't have to go to school anymore. You can just make up stuff on the fly, which we're going to get into that. You know, the transition from the first conscious community to the second conscious community. We're going to get into that. So now let's go a little bit further. Let's look at the historical context. It says the phrase talented 10 originated in 1896 amongst the Northern liberal, white Northern liberal, especially the American Baptist Home Missionary Society, a Christian missionary society strongly supported by John D. Rockefeller. They had the goals of establishing Black colleges in the South to train Black teachers and the elite. In 1903, W.E.B. Du Bois wrote The Talented 10. Theodore Roosevelt was president of the United States, and the industrialized was skyrocketing. Du Bois thought it was a good time for African Americans to advance their position in society. The talented 10 refers to one in the 10 Black men that have cultivated the ability to become leaders of the Black community by acquiring college education, writing books, becoming directly involved in social change. The Black community by acquiring college education,
writing books, and becoming directly involved in the social change. In the Talented 10, Du Bois argued that these college education African Americans men should sacrifice their personal interests and use their education to lead and better the Black community. Now you see this same thing that he's speaking, W.E.B. Du Bois speaking right here, around 1897, right? So when you start to see the independent, right here. But when we go back and we look at the American Negro Academy, some of their same things are what they're talking about. They're talking about producers. And we're going to talk about, but he's talking about education, W.E.B. Du Bois. He's talking about writing books being some of the standards, right? He's talking about being having direct involvement in your community by affecting social change. Like I said, a lot of people want the change in their pockets. That's what most of the conscious community, the change, they want that change in their pockets. They're not trying to affect change, because if it was the case, a lot of these individuals has been on before I even came on the scene. They will be affecting some type of change. There will be some types of institution. There will be some type of entrepreneur spirits amongst everybody. There will be we'll have more Black writers, more publications, more Black entrepreneurs. I think we probably would be in a better position. That's just my opinion. In the Talented 10, Du Bois argued that these colleges educated Africans, man should sacrifice their personal interests and use the education to lead the Black community. He strongly believed that the Black community needed a classical education to reach their full potential, rather than industrial education promoted by the Atlantic Compromise, endorsed by Booker T. Washington and some wild philanthropists. He saw classical education as pathway to better the Black community and as a basic for what in the 20th century would be known as public intellectuals. All right. So let me read right here. He says, men, we shall have only as a manhood the object of work of the school, intelligence, broad sympathy, knowledge, and the world that was and is, and the relationship of men. And this curriculum of higher education, which must underline true life. On this foundation, we may build bread-winning, the skills of hands, of quickness of the brains, and never be fearless of child man mistakes and the means of living for the object of life. Now, here, Du Bois, in later life, Du Bois believed that the leadership could arise in many levels. Grassroots efforts were also possible for social change. His stepson, David D. Du Bois, tried to publicize those views, writing in 1972, Du Bois' conviction that if those who suffer most have the least to lose, then those should look to for our steadfast, dependable on the uncompromised leadership. Now, Du Bois write in his Talented 10 essay, like I said, he wrote the Talented 10 essay, but it was his ideology. He believed through higher education that we could acclimate into a better situation. So he believed in higher education. He talks about classical education. He talk about men becoming men and being leaders, right? You know what I'm saying? And that's through education, sharing education, and going out in the community, sharing information and supporting one another and affecting social change, affecting those positive changes in your community. This is what he believed in. This was the idea of building men, and not only men, but women, building leadership, building intellectuals, building people to be able to produce things, right? This is what the ideology of the Talented 10 is, right? So he says in the Talented 10 essay, the Negro race, like all races, is going to be saved by the exceptional men. So we need exceptional men. I'm calling out all exceptional men right now. I'm calling out all exceptional men. The problem of education. We don't have a lot of exceptional men when we, and I'm gonna keep referring back to the conscious/social community, but I'm just trying to make a point, and you'll see the point I'm trying to make as we get through where we veered off was the first conscious community, these individuals, and how the bar was set so high. And now the bar is set so low. All I have to do right now, I don't even have to read books. I can Google something. I can make up stuff on the fly. I can be combative. I can talk about your mama. I can talk about eating your son's testicles. I can disrespect women. You know what I'm saying? I can use big words, and people are gonna follow me. That is the bar. And be entertaining. Then people is definitely gonna follow me. You know what I'm saying? Then I can take that and I can align that in my pocket and make money off of dangerous information. You see? So he says the Negro race, like all races, are going to save by all exceptional men. The problem of education then among Negroes must first of all deal with the talented 10. It is the problem of developing the best of this race that they may guide the mass away from the contamination of death and the worst. Right now, our contamination is pseudoism. That is the contamination right now in our community. Scamming is another contamination. Selfishness acts is another contamination within that community. And I can just keep going on, but I'm gonna stop right there. I just wanted to set it up with W.E.B. Du Bois Talented 10 Essay and his ideology for people that may not know. It's not particularly a group of 10 men, but an ideology of developing exceptional men and exceptional women to become leaders, to become highly educated, to share that information, to go back in the community and share that information, to work together, to understand their strength in numbers, to provide positive change in the community, to uplift those in the community. So that is the Talented 10 ideology, which Morehouse University also adopted the Talented 10 ideology from W.E. Du Bois in developing men and women to become exceptional men and women, leaders. And that's what we need. So I'm gonna go back to my slide, and we're gonna hear. Let me know when y'all can see my screen. I got the slide on. I got my slide on. Let me know. Okay, I see it on there. So here is George Washington Williams, right? George Washington Williams in 1883, a Black historian. George Washington Williams issued another call for the formation of all Black History Society. So this individual right here, I can pull him up and we can read him. We can read through some of the things that this Black man done right here. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about the first conscious community, right? We're talking about those exceptional men, right? Because that's what that conscious community, the first conscious community, was about: exceptional men and women, right? So he set forth a Black Historical Society, right? And you know, from what I'm reading, that it was a trial and error with this, and it was a hit and miss. So he set out and issued another call after he tried to facilitate that, and issued another call for the formation of Black Historical Society. This is George Washington Williams. Sean also talked about him on his presentation. I'll get his presentation in a minute because that's a great presentation. I think everybody should look at. I think it's called The Fall of the American Negro Academy. That's the name of the presentation. It's on the Master Warrior Clan channel. So like I said, through the hit and miss of him trying to establish this Black Historical Society, because again, you have to look at it. At this time of period, there wasn't a lot of people. There was not a lot of Black in college at this particular time, you know. And you know, a lot of times we was wrote out of a lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They told our story. We didn't tell our story, and they told our story from their perspective. My computer went off right here. Hold on. All right. Now, who answered George Washington Williams' call? This man right here, Alexander Crummell. After the call was put out, the formation of Historical Society, one of the most prominent people of the 1890s, Alexander Crummell answered. Crummell, a man of 74 in 1893, was a towering figure in the Black community. Now, he answered the call. Again, remember, George Washington Williams tried to establish an historical Black society. It was a trial and error, hit and miss. So he set out another call. So this was the man that answered that call, setting up that in Black community. I'm gonna escape. Let's look up Alexander Crummell real quick, and then we'll go. And I'll keep building. Let's see. All right, let me go to. Hold on. All right, Alex. That is right there. Okay, let's just quick Wikipedia article. Let's see. Alex Crummell was a pioneer, African American minister, Academy of African Nationalists, ordained as an what is that? I forgot what they call Episcopal priest in the United States. Crummell went to England in the late 1840s and raised money for his church in the lectures about American slavery. Abolishers supported the 3 years of study at Cambridge University, where Crummell developed conceptions of Pan-Africanisms. In 1853, Crummell moved to Liberia, where he worked, and you know, during that particular time, we had the the American, it was a bunch of different ones. You had the Mississippi, the American, it was a society that was created by the white abolishers where they were sending people back to Africa. Y'all, anyone on the panel remember who this was?
The
American something society. Golly, I can't, because you had the Mississippi. I talked about I didn't know it was one in it was the Mississippi, then it was the one in New York, you had one in Boston, and these was different waves of African Americans moving to Liberia. So I talked about Liberia and why, and I may deal with that a little bit in another presentation. Liberians, are the Africans that was already in Liberia had issues with the African Americans.
you talking about the American Colonization Society?
Yep. That's it right there. So you know, this is around, you know, going back. So he was in Liberia. So where he worked and converted Africans to Christianity and educated them, as well as persuade African American colonialists of his ideals. He wanted to attract American Blacks to Africa and Africa on a civilizing mission. Crummell lived up to the work for 20 years in Liberia and appealed to America's Black to join him, but he did not gather wide support for his ideas. After returning to the United States in 1872, Crummell was called to St. Mary Episcopal missions in Washington, D.C. In 1875, he and his congratulates found St. Louis Episcopal Church, the first independent Black Episcopal church in the city. They built a new church on the 15th streets of NW beginning in 1872, celebrated by the first Thanksgiving. Let's go on. But I ain't gonna keep reading on that, but I just wanted to read a little bit about who Alex Crummell were. So let me get back to where I was, because I'm gonna pull up Sean's article. Sean wrote a great article. Let me know if y'all see my article. Let me Sean's article up here.
Yep.
Okay. So we're gonna read this, and Sean published this. This is on Black Panther's website. I also have some articles as well on the website, as well as Ben has his own articles on his website as well. So, and we have articles published on our own blog sites as well. But this is called An Introduction to American Negro Academy: The Development of Black Consciousness by N.N. Sean Calfunny. So me setting up, talking about W.E. Du Bois and his Talented Tenth Essay, which is which was an ideology of developing, right, leaders, developing exceptional men, developing exceptional women by high education, by producing through art, writing, sharing that information with the community, also going into the community, supporting each other, and affecting some type of social change or some positive change within your community, right? So this is how he feel like that the Black race will be able to succeed in the 21st century, right? So
I'm gonna expand your screen because Sister Bonita says she can't see it, so maybe she could let us know, is that any better? She said she couldn't see it.
And she said, send me the link. She's trying to join you can send her the link.
Nah, she was talking about the link to the article because she said she can't read it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send her the link. But let's talk about it. He's talking about so we setting it up with W.E.B. Du Bois. We talked about the Talented Tenth Essay and the Talented Tenth ideology, right? Then we went into George Washington Williams, who tried to establish a Black historical society. Like I said, it was a hit and miss, trial and error. And then he set out another call, right, to establish this society, right? So Alex Crummell accepted the challenge, right? So we talked about who Alex Crummell were, and he was the founder of the African Academy. So I know y'all like the African Academy. You got the American Negro Academy. It was the African Academy before it was the American Negro Academy. And we'll talk about that and the individual, who, I guess kind of persuaded the position of changing it to the American Negro instead of the African, because through Cromwell early writings, you have some people said that they weren't even using the word African, but they were using that word African, right? And Cromwell, considered himself an African, you know what I'm saying? And when describing himself, right? So now we're talking about he answered the call and created the American Negro Academy. Now, this article, like I said, is written by our brother N.N. Sean Calfunny. And this is a small article, but I'm going to start where I say I want to start is. Start reading the article where it says when. Okay. It says, I'm going to start right here. It says, when we discuss the consciousness of Africans in America, we must acknowledge the birth of the first major learned society, a collective of great minds with the initiative to inspire, motivate, and liberate the masses by setting expectations to combat racism, white supremacy, also its pseudo historical, scientific, economic, artistic, cultural identity on Blacks. I'm going to read that one more time because that's powerful what Sean wrote right here. He says, by setting expectations to combat racist white supremacy, also its pseudo historical, scientific, economic, artistic, cultural identity on Blacks, right? And now we are fighting that amongst each other. The pseudoisms that is going on in our own community. We don't even need the white supremacists anymore to do it. We are doing it to ourselves. So we fell short. Again, the first conscious community was to establish exceptional men and exceptional women. The highest, they wanted the intellect, They wanted to develop leadership, intelligent men and women, right? So somewhere down the line, we went wrong, and now we are fighting against that community. That's why I said we're packing our bags from the conscious community, and we're moving to the new independent African Academy community, and we're setting the mandates and the high standards that the first conscious community had. The American Negro Academy in 1897, this was founded by Alexander Crummell, who answered the call by George Washington Williams, who tried to start the Black Historical Society. Oh, it was a hit and miss, right? So Cromwell answered the call. He started the American Negro Academy, which was the African Academy at first. The American Negro Academy in 1897 purpose was to promote the publication of scholarly works. Look at them. It says the American Negro Academy, this is in 1897. The purpose was to promote the publications of scholarly work. So if we look from this time all the way up till we get into the John G. Jacksons, the John Henry Clark, the Dr. Ben, the Asa Williams, the Sheikh Anta Diop, the Chancellor Williams, and so forth, right? These guys was producing things, publications, scholarly works. We are still using their works today, and most of them are all ancestors now. And some of the books that we have was published in the 20th century, right? And we're building on their works, right? So it says to promote, but somewhere down the line, when we got into the new conscious community, you didn't have to have that standard of being an intellectual anymore. The purpose was to be a pseudo. I could make up stuff on the fly, be entertaining. I can get all the views, and then I can scam the people out of their money, or I can align it with my pocket. Even if I don't scam, I can utilize the dangerous information that I got, because now I got the attention of people, because pseudo-isms attract, or lies attract the people. And the people that it's attracting are the people that is not reading, the people that is not studying, the people that does not research, the people that don't understand research methodology, right? They attract in those people in massive groves, right? So it's only a selected few of people that actually is trying to keep the standard of the first conscious community, which we know that ain't even attractive, trying to be an intellectual and be serious and trying to effect change in our community, trying to raise the intelligent vibration of our people, the consciousness of our people, that we know that's not entertaining, right? And we not asking for this, that, and the third. You see, I don't have to ask people for anything, because I know how to get out there and make my bread. I don't have to create a facade or create a character and a platform and then go crazy with this character on this platform and get money from people so I can eat. I know how to go out there and get it. I want to tell the truth. I want to be for the people. We want to be for the people. So the Negro Academy proposed was to promote the publication of scholarly work, aid youth and genius in attainment of higher culture at home or abroad. And we, as the Massey Warrior Clan, Kofi Piesie Research Team, Amun-Ra Squad, the Dagger Squad, because they have a publication out, maybe a few other people that I may be missing, but those in particular, they have individuals who write books, publications, trying to create scholarly work for the people, right? And then now we're having something where we created called which y'all gonna start seeing a lot from our first not our first, but our first publication of our publishing company, Same Tree Different Branch Publishing, which is coming out in 2 weeks. Y'all get ready for it. The Spear Masters, a historical survey in the minds of African warrior scholars, Volume 4. The title is called Spear Masters. And then we're creating the Spear Masters Institution, where it's talking about aiding the youth. We're going to aid the youth. We're going to create coloring books, where we already got one coming, a coloring book that's getting finalized now, a coloring book that's educational. The kids are going to learn about what they're coloring. Then we got a comprehension book, Spearmaster Institution comprehension book coming behind the Spearmaster coloring book to aid in the youth. And then with the coloring book, we're able to work it out where half of the money go to a foundation in Haiti, where we can help and affect change in the community in Haiti for us with their kids. See, this is something that we're doing. We're answering the call. We're trying to keep that standard, that mandate of the first conscious community. Abroad, gathering to arcades, values, data, and works of the Negroes of another. Well, we also have the Kofi Piesie Research Team Scholarship, the Black Panther Scholarship in Gambia, where we're fund and help people from in Gambia at the Gaya Journal Skills Academy to go to school. We're in Africa funding people to go to school. So we're affecting change over there in Gambia as well. See, these are some of the things that we are doing, right? This is not selfless acts as I see in that other community, in lining their pocket. Their social change is putting that change in their pockets. Achieving value, data, and words of Negro, higher culture at home or abroad, gathering into its archives valuable data and the works of Negro authors by publications, the decimation of the truth and the induction of the Negro race to publish, if possible, in an annual designated to raise the standards of intellectuals endeavors among American Negroes. It says to raise the standards. It didn't say lower. It said to raise the standards of intellectual endeavors among African Negro, among American Negro. We know that's the terminology that they describe themselves at that time. Man, I feel like I sound like I'm preaching or something, man. But Sean also left us with a primary of the American Negro colonization. It's just talking about the founder, Alex Crummell's got a few people on there, but we'll talk about those members as well. From the establishment until the demise of 1982, the ANA claimed the members some of the most important leaders in the Black American community. Because again, the Talented 10, the ideology of the Talented 10 was to what? Make exceptional men and women, make intellectuals, make leaders. Alex Crummell, the first president, was an Episcopal clergy who aided in the A.B. degrees from Queen's College, Cambridge University, and other founders, including Francis J. Grimmick, Presbyterian clergy trained at Lincoln University and Princeton Theological Seminary, W.E.B. Du Bois, which we talked about W.E.B. Du Bois in his essay in The Talented 10 Ideology, professor of economy, and shout out to W.E.B. Du Bois because at that time, we know he became the first Black person in history to have a PhD followed behind, who also became a member of the American Negro Society, then started his own thing, which I'll talk about with the Talented 10 women later on, because the woman books that I just purchased, going to read when we talk about the Talented 10 women that was a part of the Black Missionary Baptist Church. She's actually the president, I think, the head of Carter G. Woodson organization, but Carter G. Woodson was also a Talented 10, we can say, part of that ideology. And he was a part of the American Negro Academy, right? W.E.B. Du Bois, professor of economic history, Atlanta University, William H. Krongman, professor of classical, who was the facility of Wellburg University, John Cromwell, a lawyer, political and former editor of the People, Advocates, a Black newspaper published in Washington, D.C. It's just right here, you got the American Negro Academy organization of March the 5th, 1987 by Reverend Alex Crummell, D.D., founder of and first president. So this here where my cursor is, I know you can't hardly see it, but we're going to go through some of the names in a minute. These were some of the people that was a part of the American Negro Academy. Other notable members of the American Negro Academy: Francis J. Gimmick, Keller Mirga, Carter G. Wilson, as I stated, who became the second Black person in history to have his Ph.D. after W.E.B. Du Bois, 2 years after he established his own thing, right? Peace be among those ancestors. E. Moore, Alan L. Lockett, Arthur A. Schomburg, a series of groups of doers, not takers, who would become a vanguard for the mental liberation of the Negroes in the development of their African consciousness. Each would challenge academia over the years by writing articles. There you go again. They still writing, man. They writing. By writing articles that later would be published and available to the public. Between 1897 and 1924, the ANA published 22 occasional papers on the subject related to the culture, history, religion, civil and social rights, social institutions of Black Americans. While the quality of paper varied, all of them helped to illuminate the many ways in which during the first quarter of the 20th century, an important segment of the small community of education American Blacks attempt to intellectually define their people, justify their own existence, and challenge ideals, habits, attitudes, legal persecutions that seem to be looking their race permanently into the inferior caste. The INA, the American Negro Academy, would spark heavy conversation within different cultures and would lead the way in absolute foundation of the Black thought. And at its birth, the INA was held by the Blacks on 3 continents as welcome step forward and the effort of their own race to liberate itself from the crippling legacy of slavery and the problems created by hostility of prejudiced whites. Through its work, the American Negro Academy proved this to be an accurate prediction. It was both the sustainer and perpetuator of the Black protest tradition in the age of accommodation of the prescription. This is the last line. The Talented 10 knew over 100 plus years, again, that teams win. The Talented 10 knows over 100 plus years, as Sean writes, ago, the Talented 10 knew over 100 years ago that team wins. We say that all the time, teams win. We don't want to be an individual. The era of following one man or a leader, that's over with. This ideology was trying to develop leaders, not a leader, but leaders, exceptional men and exceptional women. So they knew that teams win. This is how we're able to do what we do, because we believe in teamwork. They knew the importance of the collective and the order of sustaining the minds of the hearts of the masses. The youth would be intrigued and forward thought amongst the Negro. The American Negro Academy was the conscious community at its roots, the infant stage before the wave of intellectuals and the group of like-minded one can truly learn from. When opening a book, read an article, watch a play, move the rhythm of the beat, enjoy the artistic views of African paintings, expressing ourselves poetry, or embracing a dress code of some sort from the motherland, just remember the influence of our forefathers had established the Black American community, had no institution comparable to it. So I give thanks to the American Negro Academy. I give thanks to W.E.B. Du Bois and the Talented 10 ideology that was carried on, and the mandates for high education, a mandate for supporting each other, a mandate for creating leaders and exceptional men and exceptional men. You know what I'm saying? I want to go real quick. We're gonna go to the Talented 10. Let me see if I got it up here. It's not the Talented 10, but the American Negro Societies. I want to talk. We know about Alex Crummell. We got William H. Crummell. He's also on a part of that collage, that controversial collage, or the controversial man Rushmore that I created. And I talked about that. I may explain that again in a minute. But well, I'm not gonna even just go. I'm just gonna read the names. I'm not finna even go into all of the names. But you got dang, my mouse froze up. You got Louis J. Cochran, William H. Crummell, John Wesley Crummell, Dr. Alexander Crummell, W.E.B. Du Bois, Paul Laurence Dunbar, who was an individual when we talked about I don't know, somebody else, the African Academy. I think he was very influential when it came to changing the name. He was stating that the blacks in America was moving away from African to describe themselves to Negroes, and the name was political. So they changed their name from the African Academy to the American Negro Academy, the American Negro Academy. So it was political. The name was political, and they did all of this once they met, because then they began to meet. These like-minded or exceptional men began to meet. These men began to plan out certain things. These men began to put in play different mandates, for certain things, setting high standards, right? And creating a constitution for themselves to be guided by, right? And that is something that the other community, the conscious/social media community, is lacking. There is no structure, and anybody can do anything and get away with it and still be supported. You can scam somebody and get away with it. You can disrespect someone's daughter, get away with it. You can disrespect someone's wife and mother, and get away with it. You can make stuff on the fly and get away with it. You can lie to the people and get away with it. You know what I'm saying? There's no boundaries that are set. No codes of conduct, no ethics, no constitution to follow, no particular mandate to follow, no bar. The bar is set very low. But these are some of the names on here. I'm also I'll after the show, you can come back in here, or I can get Sutek now. You can, if you can, put that article that Sean actually wrote in the chat, An Introduction to the American Negro Academy, The Development of Black Consciousness. This was written by one of our own, our good brother, NERS Sean Cal Funny. Now, I want to talk about, let me go here. Now, I want to talk about, we talked about, again, just going back, we talked about W.E.B. Du Bois, who W.E.B. Du Bois was, what he thought would move the black race forward. He wrote an essay called The Talented 10, right? Then, which was the Talented 10 ideology. Morehouse University used this Talented 10 ideology. It's not a particular 10 particular men or 10 particular women. It's an ideology of raising or producing exceptional men and women, leaders, and for those are educated or developing intellectuals, and those intellectuals going back into the community and sharing that information, combating the misinformation from white supremacy, also supporting one another and uplifting one another and affecting positive change within their own communities. Then you have a George Washington. I ain't gonna say then, but also you had George Washington Williams, who again tried to establish a Black historical society, right? And like I said, it was a trial and error. It was a hit and miss. So he set out another cause to establish this, and Alexander Crummell answered that call and created the African Academy, which became the American Negro Academy. And their standards and mandates was, and also Alex Crummell said, a civilization, you cannot have a civilization, or a civilization does not exist without producers. And when you look at the mandates, they was talking about producing publications, scholarly works, or supporting and producing scholarly works, writing journals, you know what I'm saying, artistic expression, poetry, going to school and getting an education, sharing that education, doing whatever you got to do to help your community, right? So now when we get from the American Negro Academy, we'll go back to, let me go back to this guy here, Ahati N.N. Toure. We talked about him in the beginning. I read down a long list of credentials that this brother had. I know he looks funny on here. I read down a long list of credentials that he had. You know what I'm saying? He's, you know, long credentials. He's been to a couple of universities. He have a bunch of degrees. He's been a professor in Africanic studies. You know what I'm saying? He's been the head over the Africanics department and other things. He also was a professor of Asar M. Hotep, right? And this is where we come into the Independent African Academy. And he talks about this, and he talks in his book, he talks about John Henry Clark and how exceptional John Henry Clark were. So he set out some mandates there. They had mandates. Let's talk about some of the things that the African, and first I'll talk about the Independent African Academy. Okay, their main goal were, it's twofold. You had those who were in college, the same as you see with the American Negro Academy. You had a lot of these individuals who was heavily educated, who went to college, right? And even with those that went to college, they came back in and they did something what we did. I talked about this too in my book, Each One Teach One, or As I Learn, We All Learn. And I wrote a book, As I Learn, We All Learn, sharing information with others deepens your own knowledge. So the people that wasn't privy at this particular time, which we know during this time, there wasn't a lot of Black people in college. So they would come back and share their education with their people. The same thing that you get when you get to the Independent African Academy. You get the same thing. These people will go back, the educated will go back and share information in their community. Then you had those who learned on their own. And those who learned on their own also went back and shared what they learned, the As I Learn, We All Learn effect with their community. They believe in intellect. They believe in intelligent people. They believe in high education. They believed in a high standard. So from the Independent African Academy, you get the likes of a John Henry Clark, which he wrote about. You get a John Henry Clark. You get a John G. Jackson. You get a Asa Hilliard. You get a Dr. Ben. You get a Sheikh Auntie Diop, and so forth. Down the line, you still are seeing the development of exceptional men, the bar being set high. All of these individuals understood the thing of education, of high education. They understood of sharing what they knew with the people. They understood supporting one another. They understood of trying to develop manhood and womanhood, or developing an exceptional man and exceptional woman. They believe in writing publications. They believe in writing journals, which what the American Academy promoted. what W.E.B. Du Bois promoted, who also was a member of the American Negro Academy. Also, Carter G. Wilson, who promoted that as well, who was also an exceptional man, who also was a talented 10, who followed behind that talented 10 ideology, who created his own thing also later on, but also was a part of the American Negro Academy. So now let's get to some of the mandates. We talked about the mandates and stuff for them. So the criteria or a mandate of the Independent African Academy research methodology focus on the development of research libraries and specializing collections. Executive library research, emphasis on the use of both secondary and primary source material, consolidation of source typically suppressed in the European academia, pedagogy methodology, close association mentorships between professor and student. And I think that's big that they did that. And I'm saying I think that's big that they did that. It's saying close association and mentors between professors and students. And we know that Schomburg was also a mentor of John Henry Clark. I'm just saying it's big because, you know, your teachers and your mentors, they're accessible to their students. I think that is very important to be accessible to your students, to be close to your students. And so I think that's big. Lectures, discussions, and direct reading, emphasis on the international dimensions of African history, exploration of African history relationship to the history of other non-African people, Pan-African examination of the international experience and the interconnection of Africans globally. Theoretical assumptions, African agencies as the historically starting point for historical interpretations. Wow. African agency as a historically starting point for historical interpretations. African nationalisms and Pan-Africanism, skepticisms of assimilationism, Europeanisms, and Christianization. Ideology, African culture as the basic for modern African human development and society. Indigenous African cultures as the basic for the model of African human development and societies. I can agree with that in some sort, and some things we have to update, but a lot of things that we can take from that indigenous African culture is character. Because when you talk about the traditions, I talk about this all the time. And if you got the beautiful lessons about Kimoyo, then you will know exactly what I'm finna say. But,
I just dropped the link for it in the chat.
Okay, no doubt. And so cultivating good character was a part of the tradition. And they talked about, from a scientific standpoint, we know what a human or a Homo sapien is from a scientific standpoint. But dealing with it from an African standpoint, we can say it's philosophy. But they believe that you could not, it was a difference between a person, a human being, and you being an it. So you could be considered an it in your own community because of the lack of character thereof. Because in the traditions, there were so many different things. Like I said, I talk about that in the beautiful lessons about Kimoyo. I walk you through all of what y'all call an African traditional religion or what y'all call an African spirituality. I walk you through all of the elements. There are so many elements in African traditions or African spirituality, or what we're calling it now, Kimoyo. There's a lot of elements, and one of the elements is cultivating good character. So if you had bad character, in some communities, you would even be considered a person. You wouldn't even be considered a human being because of the bad character that you possess. And in some communities, you couldn't even be an elder. And then you transition, you couldn't even be an ancestor because of the bad character that you have. And we see that a lot in the other community. You get praised to have bad community in the conscious sad social community. You get praised to have bad character. And then a lot of those that have the bad character, you hear them talking about Africa all the time. I'm not saying that there was everybody possessed good character. No, because I just told you there was people that wasn't even recognized in their own community that had bad character. You was you wasn't even considered a human being. You was nothing. And we're coming with good character. And that's something that I'm particular with. And it's something that I'm dealing with on a personal level, is when you talk about acknowledging someone's existence. I go out my way, whether I know a person or not, to speak to that person. Or even if I don't speak, I head nod, or I throw up the fist, or I wave just to acknowledge that person's existence. That's good character. That's good character. But we'll walk past people that don't even know us every day and don't acknowledge their existence. That's bad character. Publication mandates. Researching publication disturbed through African-controlled vehicles accessible to African audience. Research publication distributed through African-controlled vehicles accessible to African audience. That's also something that, this is something that the Independent African Academy had, and we're also doing that as well as others. We are publishing these works. We appreciate you when you support us, when you go to these other platforms, but we created a vehicle. We have Kofi Piesie TV.com. www.kofipiesie.tv.com is a vehicle for you to go get our educational and quiz cards, for you to go get our face cards, for you to go get our volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, Sean's children book, my children book, my publication, Sean's publication, are on there. That's a vehicle. We want you to publish it. We want you to purchase it or support us through that vehicle that we created. So we created a research publication distributed through African Control. This vehicle. We also created Same Tree Different Branch publication. Same Tree Different Branch publishing.com. That is another vehicle that we created. So now you can go get Beautiful Lessons about Kimoyo. You can go get, in 2 weeks, you can go get that masterpiece that we putting out, Spear Masters, a historical survey in the minds of African warrior scholars, volume 2, on that African vehicle, Same Tree Different Branch publishing.com. And we got various coloring books, a curriculum book. Sean has two powerful books that are coming out. One in particular that I'm very excited for, that's dealing with this pandemic. I got my expanded version of Beautiful Lessons about Kimoyo. I have 4 extra chapters that's going to be in there. I'm going to have more pictures, the font. I changed the font on it to make it better. So hopefully we'll have Sutek come out with his small, clearing up some misconceptions in the community, because there's a lot of them. Chavis has his book coming out pretty soon. Hopefully we can get y'all be able to get that around November. So we're creating these vehicles, and we're doing what they're telling us to do: create scholarly works by writing publications. That is something that that's only one vehicle, right? Now we talk about the new Independent African Academy, or the new Independent African Academy community mandates. So we're creating a community. We packed our bags, right? We packed our bags and we left the conscious community, and we created our own community. And we're bringing back that standard. We're raising the bar high as possible. That high standard. We're creating mandates. We're creating codes of conduct. We're trying to create, like the first conscious community did, exceptional men and exceptional men. We're grasping on to W.E.B. Du Bois Talented 10 ideology. We're revamping it a little bit and creating our own. We're continuing on the works of the American Negro Academy, the Independent African Academy, and now the new Independent African Academy. This is our mandates. Never talk down on another NIAA member in public. So if you're going to be a part of this community, never talk down on or to another new Independent African Academy member in public. No pseudo. We don't want in this community, we don't want any pseudo information. We don't want you coming over here talking about we are in a pandemic because of 5G. We don't want that over here. You stay over there in the community with that. We don't want that. Research methodology research method / methodology must be followed. So you must have Tep Hesed. That's the same as in my brother's Chavis Tep Hesed, Aul McCrae's name. Tep Hesed is a word in Kemet, which means correct method. But I forgot the other words in West Africa, because, you know, I'm more of a West African dude now, so I try to use terminology from West Africa. But I gave you a list of those as well, the correct method, just skipping my mind now, what they call the correct method. So we want correct method over here. We want the correct methodology. You have to have and follow the correct methodology. Teach those that are ready and willing to learn. Support other members. Agreements handle in private. No one is above correction, even me. And that's important because when we correct others, we get offended. I'll say we get offended, but people get offended. So then you get the name calling, you get the disrespect because you are being critiqued. And when you put your information out on a platform or in the public eye, you're putting it up. You're putting it up for scrutiny. It's going to be scrutinized for those who like to read and research and see, have you followed that method? So, and I have no problem with being corrected as long as it's done right. We must, done, in a tasteful manner, one must stand for Black Africans and descendants and the diaspora. Zero tolerance of dishonesty. Irere, which is good character, in the standards for and how one must conduct themselves. No selfishness acts. No scamming. No pedophilia. No disrespect of the Black woman. Race first. And when I'm saying race first, I'm saying put us first. I'm not saying not go work with nobody else, but I'm saying work with yourself first. Every other race, even though, we say race is a construct, but we can see race is real, in our community. So, and I'm saying with the people that you identify with, work with them first and everybody else second. I know that's kind of hard to do at times, but I'm saying race first. Supporting Black businesses. Integrity. We must have integrity. Our integrity must be intact. All right. Must possess the will to learn. And I'm saying must possess the will to learn is because a lot of the other community don't want to learn. They want to be entertained. There's nothing wrong with being entertained, but they don't want to learn. And even with the people that has been following us, and we go back and we put things on, a lot of times people don't go back and research what we say or even look at the sources that we provide and go through the sources or even buy the material that we tell y'all to buy and etc. some can't even tell us what we've been talking about, you know. But you must possess the will to learn. We have to get back to want to learn. We got to get back to being intellectuals. You know, we got to get back to being smart is cool, because I know when I was growing up, being smart was for the white folks, wasn't for the black folks, and it's still like that. That standard for us is low, and I'm saying it, and with what I started out with all the way to the end, and talking about these individuals and these institutions, when I'm talking about the first conscious community, the bar was set high. They produced a lot of things. And again, Alex Crummell said that civilization, I'm just paraphrasing, civilization is not a civilization is not a civilization if it's not producing. So their mandates in the American Negro Society, and even in the independent African society, those who was in those groups and came after them, you know, possess that will to learn, to be smart, to be educated, you know what I'm saying, to be exceptional, to be a leader, to be to set the right example, So we must follow that standard. It says here, the new independent African Academy community goals: creating real men and women, producing writers, responsible researchers, responsible research, understanding teams wins. Because like Sean said in his article 100 years ago, the Talented 10 understood that teams win. That's why you seen the rise of the 20th century with the likes of Alex Crummell, the likes of George Washington Williams, the likes of Alexander Crummell, the likes of Dunbar, the likes of John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben, Sheikh Anta Diop, Ashla Williams, Ashla Hilliard, Chancellor Williams, Obanga, and other ones that came before him that was a part of the Talented 10 of the American Negro Academy, or the Independent American Academy, and producing entrepreneurs, producing intellectuals, lasting marriages, developing good character. That's something, you know, is important, developing good character. So these are some of the goals that we're trying to establish. If you're going to be a part of the new independent African Academy community, these are the do's and the don'ts and the goals that we are trying to set and we're trying to establish, because we don't want to go down the same road by creating another community, or what some might say later on, we created a third conscious community. Because I say the first conscious community, so I gave you a list of those individuals and the organizations and what they did and their mandates and their goals and their achievements. And then I got to us and what we want. And then, but you know, and then somewhere around that time, when we got to the second conscious community, there was no standard. That standard had fallen. It was, you know, codes and conducts and morals were thrown out the window. You know, these organizations created constitutions and bylaws that they set forth that they had to follow. You know, and sometimes we have to do those types of things to keep us in due bounds. So, so when all of that standard dropped, you started to get I'm not even gonna name the individuals, but you get a long list of people. I got a long list of people that I can name that I consider pseudo, and my colleagues also would say that these individuals were pseudo because they gave out misinformation, they gave out dangerous information. They was makeup artists, some of them was liars, some of them was cheaters, some of them was scammers, But I'm not going to even talk about those individuals. So we have to stay on course. We have to raise that bar back to the excellence that it once was when we talk about bringing forth that Black consciousness in the early 20th century with these individuals, the first conscious community, as what I would say. And then later, years and years later, over 100 some years later, you start to see the transition of it start to go down, start to spiral out of control. So, like I said, these are some of the goals. And I think, man, that's about, hold on, I got something else. My Talented 10. I talked about my Talented 10. And again, the Talented 10 is not the Talented 10 men or Talented 10 women. I tried to set the thing up with walking through all these different things, and even what the Talented 10, it was an ideology, the Talented 10 ideology of W.E.B. Du Bois, and that formula was used in those two organizations as well as other organizations as far as trying to set the bar and create leaders and exceptional men and women and intellectual individuals, right? So mine of 2000, this is just mine. This is not none of the other brothers on the team. And I did this for various reasons, my Talented 10, 20, and I would like to see, if possible, I don't know, I may create something on, make a post. I want to what I'm doing. I'll make a post on my page, a post on Kofi Piesie Research Team, and a post on our YouTube channel, and make a post. And I want people, if possible, to post who you think your Talented 10 will be. And it can be one person, it can be two, it can be three. Again, it doesn't have to be 10 individual. Again, it was established to create intelligent men and women, exceptional men and women, to create leaders, to promote education, and to go back into community and share that information and education, correct information and research with the community, to uplift the community by, whatever means that is, to uplift your community, to effect social change or effect a positive change in your community. So these are the individual that falls up under the Talented 10 ideology, and that would be Brother Aksar. And Sean said that Brother Aksar is the standard, right? And I can agree and I can attest to that. And I appreciate Brother Aksar and the works that he is doing. He's produced a vehicle, an African vehicle for an African audience. He created his channel, his YouTube channel. He has the Mandala Mandala, I might be pronouncing it wrong, institution. He has the Diop something or the Sheikh, I can't remember exactly what it was. He also has the Asar Imhotep website, is also another vehicle. He has his own publishing company where he just published a book. I'm still, everybody got theirs, but I didn't get mine. It wasn't his fault. Hurricane, we got affected by Hurricane Ida, so I guess the mail and stuff is kind of bagged up. So I'm waiting to get that. And that's the first publication off of his publication. So he also have a publication. So he's creating those vehicles, and he's also producing. Because again, Alex Crummell said that a civilization is not a civilization if it's not producing. Whatever the forms of producing, and there are many levels when it comes to producing, it's just not writing. And they also, talked about that as well, in the American Negro Academy, as well as the independent African Academy. But Aksar Imhotep, Benjamin Njai, who I also in this time is a part of what I say the Talented 10 of 2021, actually got me away from Kemet and into West Africa, because I was Kemet out, Kemet to death. And Unc West. And Unc West is an intellectual. Unc promote scientific literacy. Demands he came in the community demanding source material. At one time, it was no particular thing or so. I'm not gonna say one particular. Some people say there wasn't at all. I disagree with that, because before there was an Amin-Ra squad and I knew who Unc was, the only brother I seen when I was watching Sarnetta's TV religiously from 2012 to 2016. Dang, what's the brother name with the ponytail? Bro, I'm tired. I'll be forgetting everybody. What's his name? The ponytail on the side of his head? What's his name?
Shaka Amo.
Yeah, Shaka.
Shaka Amo. Few sources when he presented, and even had, if you go back and you look at an old video, Sarnetta went into Shaka's house or apartment or whatever he was living in, a building, and Shaka showed tons and tons and tons of books. This before I think the Amin-Ra squad was even developed, or before anyone got whiff of the Amin-Ra squad and and etc. But once come in, he demanded those sources, source up or shut up. So it's no more we just taking your word on face value. We want your sources. We want to go through your sources, and that proper research. And also without Unc is the link to all of us. I'm saying Unc put us all together. I followed Unc formula. Everybody else followed Unc formula. They can say they didn't, but they did. Unc created the Amin-Ra squad. He created a bunch of he got a bunch of intellectuals together. He said he got a bunch of people together that he said was smarter than him. So he got a bunch of people that was already well-read, well-studied, and well-researched, these intellectuals together, and created this super hero group for the so-called conscious community. Right? And then from there you get Team Osiris, you get the Dagger Squad, you get the Masi Warrior Clan, you get Kofi Piesie Research Team. So with we all followed his formula, branched off and created from that tree, grew a branch, and we created our own things with that same formula of involving people that with high intellectuals who are well studied, well researched, who is well repaired, who is honest, and ready to do whatever they have to do to raise the consciousness of our people who want to know without all of the antics and the confusion and the chaos. So shout out to Unc West. That's why he's on here as well. John Mboli, I put him on here too because of the work he did. Took him 10 years for him to write his book of reconstructing those language phylums in a set of when they're dealing with the Egyptian writing. So I put him on there. Theophila Obanga has some bunch of publications out. He's followed that mandate throughout the First Conscious community as well by producing things, affecting changes as well in his community. A lot of his books is in French, but two of his books I know that you can get African Philosophy, and then African Philosophy, the Pharaonic from, I can't think, I got both of the books on the shelf. Powerful books. And then I put Jonathan Owens on here because I know a few years ago, he was putting out information on it. I think it was his Rap God page. I think it was. He was putting out some exceptional information and putting out information that I have never heard of before, and some other people have never heard of before. And then he was clearing up a lot of misconceptions early on in the community. And he was actually one of the brothers who actually motivated me to also learn the Sesh Meta Netra, because I didn't even know, really you can transliterate and translate the Sesh Meta Netra into English or into any other into your target language that you speak. I didn't know that. And then I got a whiff of Wu Jiao, and then later bought his book, and then took the class, and then we formed the group, the Seshuma Ani Meta Nature, where we started showing people that, you know, you have people, Black individuals, who don't have to take these racist, what the Egyptologist word for it, with their mistranslation of a lot of things, because they're looking at it from their world perspective, right? So, you know, so I put Jonathan Owens on there. Now, everybody else's list may be different than that, but I would like to see your talented 10 of 2021. This is mine. Your ones may be different from mine, you know, and I would like to see the people's talented 10. So I put a poll. I'm gonna put some up there on those pages, and y'all, you know, just please do that for me. I would like to see y'all talented 10. I could have put a couple of more people up here, but I didn't. And again, like I said, it doesn't have to be 10 people. And then I'm gonna come back either next week or the week after next, after I get through reading this sister book, Evelyn Brooks, and I can't remember her last name. Matter of fact, let me show you her book. I didn't want to wait on the book, so I bought the book. And this highest Kindle book I'd ever bought, $20-something for the Kindle, you know. But I think it was because it was over, like I said, over 300 some pages. So the righteous disconnect, the woman movement of the Black Baptist Church in 1880 through 1990 by Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham. So she has a chapter right here called The Female Talented 10. And like I said, I was explaining the thumbnail, because you can say it's a man Rushmore of, and it wasn't, and I'm not saying that we are above or on the same level as the elders, or not the elders, but the ancestors we put on there. I put a lot of people on there. All those people in black, white was a part of the first conscious community, I would say. And those American Negro Academy, the Independent Negro Academy, and those who came after those two entities, like the John Henry Clark and the Aisha Hilliard and Sheikh Anta Dia. I don't think I had Sheikh Anta Dia, but I had some of those people that came behind them. And then I had Ben, Wujao, Iri Ma'ad on there, and Sar and Ankh. I had Baba M. Hotep. I had Ahati N.N. Toure, because you can't talk about the Independent African Academy and not talk about this brother. You just can't do that. So and she, but anyway, with that, like I said, it was I didn't know it was gonna be, so shout out to sister, our good great sister, Dr. Oyama Ott. She made a post and then she deleted when I was commenting on it, and she said, yeah, I jumped the gun after I tagged her in there because I reworded it, and what's the name? It wasn't to leave out the women, was not to leave out the women. And she had an issue with W.E.B. Du Bois, because at one point she thought he was like a male chauvinist, because when all you talk about was the talented 10, it was talking about the men, but it was talented 10, he was also talking about the women, raising exceptional men and women. So she talks about the talented 10 women, and I think she's going to talk about it from that time period along the way of the American Negro Academy during that era. So I'm going to talk about her, who this woman is. And I found out she's she looked white, but she's an African American. I'm gonna run down her qualifications. She even took on, like I told you, Carter G. Wilson, who was also an exceptional man around that time, who was also a part of the African American Academy, part of the first conscious community, created his own thing, and now she is the head of, or the lead, or the president of that organization, which has those same mandates and standards as the African American Academy, as well as the Independent African Academy as well. So we're going to see who these women were and what those exceptional women did around that time, because we named all the other individuals, right, doing this thing. And now we want to give those women a light. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to share my talented 10 exceptional women for 2021. There's not many that I know of. There's not many that I know of at all. So my list, I had 6 on here for the men. I may not have before on there for the women. And I'm explaining why they are on my list. And then I'll put up another thing, and you put your list out for the Talented 10 women of 2020, 21. So I'm gonna dig into this book tonight. So with 300 and some pages, I'm not gonna read the entire book, but it's a few chapters that caught my eye that I'm definitely gonna read. And I'm definitely gonna read that female Talented 10, and I'm gonna explain some things because I already read some stuff about her during that time. During her time, and the thing about her, with the W.E.B, the Bois Talented 10 with the men. So now she's talking about the Talented 10 for the women. So yeah, man. So I hope that this. Let me start sharing my screen. Where are we at? Damn. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, so I hope that this I'm hot, I'm sweating. I hope this presentation was informative, well informative, made my point of why we were saying we was packing our bags. I hope you got an understanding. I hope you go look up some of these exceptional men that we talked about. I hope you go look at some of these well, I don't even need that computer right now. Go look at some of these. Go look at and study the American Negro Academy, as well as the Independent Negro Academy, and study those who came during that period as well. And even if you don't know about the guys that I got on there, go study those individuals as well. And if you want to be a part of this new Independent African Academy, go back and look at our mandates. Go back and look at our goals that we are trying to achieve moving forward. So, you can say that we are part of this community and be proud that you're a part of this community by raising the standard of excellent women and men, making people smart and intelligence being also the standard, and not trying to align your pocket, but trying to actually help your people and going in your community to affect social change, and writing and producing. Because again, Alex Crummell said a civilization ain't a civilization if you're not producing. And over there, ain't too many producers, producing. So, we know y'all gonna still run out. I was finna say something, and I know I was finna say something, and I don't want to say it because people might take it the wrong way and say I'm being disrespectful, and that ain't what I try to do. I'm gonna tell the truth, and sometimes telling the truth, people may take it as being disrespectful. But for the most part, I'm just leave that along with what I was saying. But I know people gonna go visit the conscious/social media community, but just try to keep your integrity intact. Try to keep your moral compass intact, and also try to keep that standard of intelligence intact. Keep that will to want to learn intact. Man, y'all got anything, Chavis and Sutek, man, before I end the show?
Yeah, I just like I was telling you before, like y'all, and I include myself in y'all, embody everything that you stated. So these codes, it ain't gonna be hard for us because that's already who we are. It's already ingrained in us. Like people don't know these brothers keep each other on their toes. Like for me to even join the team, I had to produce some. I had to produce some presentation. I had to write, you know what I'm saying? but I appreciated that because it challenged me.
Say it again, Chambers, what you had to do.
I
What you
had
had to do.
to write basically 3 essays, whatever I wanted. I had to do 3 presentations, and these boys kept it real. They kept it honest. They made sure, hey, don't put out no flimsy information. Make sure it's everything that you put out is gonna be on point. So tell me if my presentation was trash. Sean gonna always, you know what I'm saying? Like, but people need that. I don't know, like it's necessary for people to adapt this type of thinking because it's productive. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, all those things that you mentioned, that's Kofi, that's Sean, that's how these boys really is in real life. You know what I'm saying? All we trying to do is advance the people, and that's why I always resonated with them. You know what I'm saying? When I used to read their books, I thought it was just real dope how, you know what I'm saying, y'all was like, you was giving everybody a chance to blossom. You know what I'm saying? And that just, like you said, that's the blueprint from art. And I peeped that, and I was like, that's something that everybody got in common. Everybody got integrity, whether it's street or whether it's, you know, based in African spirit. It's having a code of how you move. Certain things, certain stuff we just don't do. We don't make no claims without having a source. You know what I'm saying? We do our best to be honest. We do our best to, you know, have integrity and good character. That's all I wanted to say though. That's just what I got from it.
What up, Sutek? I see Sean popped in here too.
Man, I'll just say real quick, good bill. Um, I'm gonna stand firm in what I've been saying. We are not a part of the conscious community, and Kofi just showed you why. He just explained to you why in the comprehensive presentation. And I'm gonna say we was from the standard that we're using to refer to the conscious community. We were never a part of that. So yeah, man, good bill. And I want to make sure everybody know. Again, I'm gonna reiterate. Um, Spear Masters Volume 4 will be out September 24th. Y'all can get y'all pre-orders. I dropped the link in the chat several times. I drop it back in the chat again. And also, man, make sure y'all visit Family Connect Apparel because we have a lot of dope gear that I'm pretty sure y'all will appreciate, man. I'm gonna throw it up on the screen while Sean talking and drop the links in the chat as well. But peace, man. We appreciate y'all for coming through.
What up, Sean?
Man, your boy crazy, bro.
Who that?
D.
Got it.
Got him. Got him. Nah, man. I really ain't got nothing. I just hopped on here to be an asshole, to be tell you the truth.
Yeah.
There ain't nothing else, man.
Did you check it out? Did you check out? Were you able to check out some of it?
I watched the whole thing. What you mean? I've been running and listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You just kept on mixing up stuff, but you all right.
What I mixed up?
Nothing. You just kept you know how bad you are with Mississippi language.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
You should have been on here. You're my translator. I have my own personal translator, y'all. Sean is my translator. So you can't understand.
I didn't get a check this week. I didn't get a check.
Hey, it's coming, man. Hurricane Ida messed up everything. So
I'm sure.
It's in the mail.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's in the mail. Yeah.
Real quick though, the significance of the American Negro Academy was the foundation of pretty much the Talented Tenth and its way of organizing the information and challenging white academia. They not only challenged Western academia or white academia or Eurocentric academia, they challenged the Russians, the Jews, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Koreans, the Indians, those along the Mediterranean. They challenged them right? Why did they challenge them? Because everybody else in the world wrote about themselves or wrote themselves in the history and left Africa out of it. So the African Americans was paramount, instrumental in bringing forth Africa to Africans and the Africans in the diaspora. Without that movement, without that research, without that groundbreaking, without that will to fight, without being able to show up to UNESCO, Sheikh Anta Diop and Obenga, without learning the methodologies and the sciences to be able to move people forward, Africa would not be, because it was being whitewashed. Standing up and fighting for a place in ancient Kemet was paramount. Standing up and fighting for Central, East, South, and West Africa was paramount. Notice what I said. Not much was dedicated to North Africa due to the exclusion of existence in North Africa, unless we're talking about the Heritage and what they could have contributed. But it was pretty much an enslavement movement, because those people did not see themselves as other people in Northeast, East, South, Central, and West Africa. And that's clear even when you go to Northwest Africa and deal with Mauritania and that whole Morocco, that whole scenario there, because the people that look like us, they had hard times. So what was I think, I don't know if you hit on the dates, I can't remember, but you have to think about during the early inceptions of this movement, before this movement. So let me go before this movement. In a parallel, okay, during slavery, at some period of point of time let's just say the 1800s, during the illegal slave trade era, right? And then right before the illegal slave trade era, there was two things going on that were concurrent: the colonization of Africa and the enslavement of Africans, moving around from South America to the Caribbeans to North America, and then from West Africa directly to North America. So the institution of slavery in the Americas and the colonization of Africans on the continent. I'm forgetting about the UK extensively, because we really don't focus on what took place in Europe with our brothers and sisters in Europe, but they were under some form of enslavement as well. But to what extent, we need them to bring forth that research to help us out, so that we could put this whole story, the African diasporian, together. So you're going to need people like Fitz. You're going to need people like, I can't think of who else up there right now off the top of my head, but we need those brothers and sisters up there to formulate, right, institutions themselves to bring that history to us. They only give us pieces of it, because we know we know that there was an enslavement movement up there, and we know that there were, the ports and the ships and all of that. We get all of that, but we don't know the historical sites, right? The landmarkings, right? The evolution of institutions built by those ancestors in the UK. We don't know much about what they built and gave to Europe that brought Europe forward, right? We know little things. We know some romanticism and things of that nature, but we have to understand it from that perspective. So, man, I think you kind of hit on it. Institutions have always been a part of our bringing knowledge forward. That's being scientific. When we sit here and talk about science, that's all it is, the advancement of knowledge, right? Because you gotta know, and you gotta know how to apply it. So you gotta know, and you gotta know how to do it. So that's why methodology is key. But those founders, our founders in the earliest institutions, to bring that consciousness to the African American and Africans in the diaspora was what is our focus, should have always been our focus. We lost focus when our last writers, right? I mean, serious writers, researchers. Now, because I don't mean to muddy up the show, but This is just me, and I don't care who get offended. I'm speaking for myself. But people like Mfudisi and Baba Heru, for instance, like if they put some literature out or something like that, do you seriously think that proper research methodology went into that when they're talking about chakras, crystals, rocks, astral projecting, third eye, talking about the cloth or the material that scribes wore, that like that chic like gown or whatever, was part of what was that? Helping them astral project or transport places, whatever he said in the museum, the silliness and the craziness of the way that they speak about the Remech, but all in while trying to be the Egyptians themselves is silliness. And, you know, that was not the reason that we were introduced to Kemet. We were introduced to Kemet for its greatness, for its intellectual greatness, the achievements that it made during its 3,000 plus years of greatness or dynastic periods. And then we were taught to learn that and then apply that to modern day times, but upgrade that. The same thing with West African history. It's the same thing. Learning from our ancestors' mistakes in West Africa, like what went wrong, what made it strong, what made it weak, what made it lead, what made it fall. You have to be able to answer those questions and stand on the scholarship to advance knowledge forward. We're still stuck in West Africa. We still want to be Arabs. We still want to be European Christians. We still want to worship outside of ourselves instead of paying each other the homage, the respect, and the ancestors, the right. Man, I'm long with this here, but the right way, embodying that the right way. So, long story short, man, you know what I'm saying? Everything is what it is. People, you know, they hate the real, love the fake. You know what I'm saying? But you just got to keep pushing, you know. So shout out to everybody and appreciate all that. And I'm gonna shut up.
No, you good, man. Shit, get it out, man.
No, I don't wanna keep on talking, man. You trying to wind down. We already know that you 2 hours in and you be trying to minimize your stuff, and then you get to crying like a little punk, and then we got to deal with that behind the scenes so people don't know. Yeah, take your head off. Take your head off if you got a problem. Take your head off.
I ain't got a haircut today.
You can't take your head off?
I ain't got a haircut today.
Yeah, exactly. Why you don't want to see your crooked ass line? What's wrong? What kind of character you get? That's bad character. That you can't take your head out. You in the house.
You trying to shine on that, man? That's bad character.
He need a nap. He need a nap or a sneaker.
Nah, I need a nap.
Nap or a sneaker.
Where my email at? That's why I'm on here. Where my email?
Brother.
No, bro.
I said when I get through with the show, I got to do the forward, which is 2 pages, and I'm gonna send it to you because I'm tired of you crying.
You lying.
Hey, I need to holler you off the air though, man.
All right.
Off the air about something too, man. But it might be bad for you too. When I'm saying it might be bad for me because it's gonna resort because it might be resorting to we actually meeting up. And
I'm gonna beat you up anyway. That don't even matter.
You getting the fade. I'm just saying
we getting the fade anyway. We fading anyway. Yeah. You can let the people know we fading when we see each other.
I'm gonna record it, so
that's fine. We gonna go live.
We're gonna go live, and y'all gonna see me give him the fade on live. And then I'm gonna dust my brother off, pick him up, if I tear his clothes up. I'm gonna take him to the mall. I'm gonna get him something to wear. And then I'm gonna take him out. I'm gonna take him out to eat, man, and apologize and tell him I had to do him dirty.
Big homie, I like that, Kofi.
Yeah, I got him, man. I'm gonna take care of him. Yeah. But yeah, man. But yeah, man. Like I said, appreciate everybody, man, for rocking the whole time, man. You know, I hope this show was informative. And while we keep talking about trying to separate ourselves and so this is why, you know, so now you know why you can refer back to the video, or you can just talk about those individuals and the standards that they had and the things that they did and the goals that they had and the things that they achieved and they accomplished and the things that they wanted to accomplish, man. And yeah, go get that Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo, man. I'm telling you, it's a pretty good book. December. I got the expanded version coming. I got 4 new chapters. redone the font. I have more pictures, like I said, and the extra 4 chapters in that book in December. Also go get in the next 2 weeks, Spear Masters, Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars, Volume 4 by Kofi Piesie Research Team. That is our fourth book. And y'all, we actually did something. We actually did something that I'm into marketing. I'm into trying to figure out how to marketing and strategize certain, to get people attention, to draw people in to buy certain things. So, to buy, our products. So with this, we have this spirit thing going. We got Spirit Mass, we got Spirits of the Mossy, Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars, Volume 1. We got From Spears to Pens, Volume 2, Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars, Volume 2. We have Volume 3, which is Spiritual Comeback, a Historical Survey in the Minds, Spiritual Comeback, a Historical Survey in the Minds of African Warrior Scholars. And we have, coming out in 2 weeks, Spear Masters, which it has caught, people always say, ask us about that, it's caught attention, and hopefully we'll be able to get that book down into the Washington area, into a school, hopefully into a school, all 4 volumes. And the store owner purchased all 4 volumes, and actually him and a few people are actually going to comb through the books and read the books. And then, if it's to their liking, they're going to buy all 4 volumes in bulk. And then they're actually going to teach it and teach a curriculum. Those books are actually going to be the curriculum in the school. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Hopefully that's to happen. I'm shipping all the books out tomorrow. So hopefully that'll come through for us, but also look out for the Spear Masters coloring book, which
my phone died.
Which hopefully will be involved with the children in Haiti. Actually, when I get off the phone, I need to call this brother who's actually brought it to my attention. So some of the proceeds, I don't know, we got to work it out. The coloring book is going to go toward the kids in Haiti. So we're trying to do things not only right, but we're trying to affect change in communities as well. This is the mandates that came down. So we're actually going to be trying to do that. Then we got a curriculum book. Sean has a book coming out too. Go ahead.
Where the mandates come from? The sun?
Nah, we can't go out and download information from the sun. Ain't that another pseudonym that they be talking about? That go out and you get this is the foolishness that they say. They say you don't have to read a book. They don't have to read a book. Just go out and sit out in the sun, and they get their downloads of information from the sun. Well, that's crazy.
And downloading stupidity.
Yeah, that's exactly what they download. But that's what they saying, brother. They is downloading the information from the sun. Man, I'm telling you, bro.
I don't need to eat no food. I can just go out there and get my nourishment from the sun.
That's it. Mm-hmm. I leave my shell every day. So they leave their shell every day.
Do it again.
They leave the shell. I mean, it's a lot of craziness, man. So, and man, we just got to get away from that, man. We just got to get back to that standard, man. But I said ETM. Well, anybody else got anything, man? I'm gonna close out. Y'all got any final words for the people?
We ain't finna tell you who said that. We keeping it quiet.
Nah, man, I'm good, man. Peace. Appreciate y'all.
I'm good too. We leading the way, man. Leading by example.
Right, lead by example. Well, I said ETM Hotel in the beginning, which means bring forth peace. So I'm gonna say Shemim Hotel, which now which means depart or leave in peace. Peace and Black African power. We'll see. I'm we're gonna try to put out more content instead of coming on one day. I actually tried to do 2 shows today. Had to reschedule. So I don't know if we'll be doing an interview next week or not. I got to get back with him and see. But I think the interview's still on. Even if the interview's still on, if I get through reading his book that I just showed y'all of the sister with the Talented 10 sisters and those doing the 1890s, those black women that and those black women in the Black Baptist Church who she deemed that was the forerunners during the same period of the Talented 10 era. I'll be doing that next week, if not the week after next, but we will be coming next weekend. Even if we have to just download some stuff and just upload some stuff. That's definitely what we're gonna do. We're gonna try to bring more content and try to go live a little bit more often when when we can, because we all busy and we all doing other things, but we need to have more we need to have more conversations. But on that note, man, again, peace and Black African power, man. We'll see y'all. I don't know. We'll see y'all before the week is out. We'll see y'all before the week is out. We out of here, family. We gone.